Welcome to Dave and Harieta Chase's excellent XA GT Falcon Hardtop. This here is the definition of dream big and it will happen. Dave's vision to rebuild his car back to showroom factory specs from 1973 have certainly been achieved in this build here. Entering the 2023 Ellerslie Concours d'Elegance show in the Masterclass category for the first time, with the car's first outing and bouncing away with a first place trophy, shows the effort and determination to achieve this goal for sure. I first bumped into Dave at a local petrol station around 12 or so years back. I was pouring more petrol into my coupe and Dave rocked up and said, "I've got one of these in my shed." Now, how often do we hear that happen? Ever since then, the two coupes have clocked up a heap of miles ticker-touring around New Zealand, cranking that 351 Cleveland and slamming that 4-speed top loader. Built to be driven has always been the motto, and that's the way it stayed. Dave has always had the goal of a full restoration, collecting bits along the way to get the car back to matching its build sheet, which isn't an easy task when the build sheet dates back to 1973 and they only built 891 of them. A fair number of the 891 were turned into race cars as well, making items even more scarce. The iconic shape is one that has lasted the decades. 50 years ago, the XA Falcon Hardtop won the famous Bathurst race, with the coupes holding that trophy for a fair few years after that through the XB and XC models. Their advantage over the previous square-shaped Falcons was their big rear guards and the ability to run wider tyres, plus the aerodynamics of that sleek, laid-back design. Straight off the factory floor, the hardtops were cornering at 10 miles an hour faster than the previous models, which subsequently resulted in the requirement of a special wing sump just to keep the oil there. The hardtops were a full makeover for the Falcon, based very closely on the American Mach 1 Mustang, and designed to hit the track and get Ford's name back up the leaderboard. Like most of us and how our projects get a kickstart, the poor old coupe failed to warrant a fitness due to rust, and we all know what that means. For Dave, it was game on time. With boxes of bits waiting in the garage and a plan in his head, the coupe was stripped and off to get dipped just to see how rusty and damaged the poor old body was. For anyone who does that dipping process, it's the point of no return, and you just have to cringe and get on with that restoration after that. Dave's was no different, throwing a few extra surprises in for the panel beaters to deal with. Every item stripped from the original body was refurbished either by Dave or by someone who could do it better. New wiring looms were built to factory spec and the dash instruments and panels were rebuilt. If aftermarket items weren't up to the original quality, they were put back on the shelf and the old item was refurbished back to new before getting placed back into the coupe. Dave has been studying the build of these coupes for years, checking just where the paint lines finish, the quality assurance markings are placed, and how they are done, right down to exact colours of each item. His precision and assembly of this car is honestly unbelievable. You would have to sit this next to a factory car from way back in '73 to even try and compare the difference, and you would probably say Dave's more original. Of course, the attitude of built to be driven, the old smattery fog items had to be replaced with performance parts, but detailed is the factory. After all, we don't drive factory cars now, do we? From the spare wheel tucked into the boot under the factory mat to the refurbished radiator, apart from the sneaky performance mods, this automobile is as factory as you can possibly get. The detailing with the factory quality assurance markings to the tied tags and factory handbook, Dave has made sure this hardtop takes you back in time. Even the 8-track stereo has the iconic AC/DC 8-track Highway to Hell ready to play. Not that you would want to interrupt the growling V8 rumble from that staunch 351 Cleveland through the factory exhaust. It honestly surprised me how awesome and how actually loud the factory exhaust from the headers back is roaring down the road when slamming gears through that 4-speed top-loader gearbox. No wonder we've grown up wanting muscle cars and hot rods. If you ever get a chance to check this ride out in the flesh, make sure you take your time checking it out under and over. There's definitely a reason to achieve first place at the Concours show.